I've visited Hainan on many occasions, having tracked the development of the offshore duty-free industry across the island. It's been very exciting. I've been invited to many of the store openings in Hainan, for example, in Sanya here, but also in Wanning more recently. So it's been a big part of my job in recent years. I love Hainan. I think it's a natural paradise, but I also think it's got some tremendous man-made attractions, especially, of course, in the duty-free shopping world. So you see these magnificent emporiums that have been taken shape, and I've been very privileged to be invited to many of those openings. I think the fact that Maison Margiela has had this event for 3 years in a row, it makes a statement in itself. It's a statement about the brand, of course, and its belief in the travel retail and duty-free market in Hainan in particular and in China in general. But it's also very interesting to watch the fact that fragrances as a category has grown so fast, especially niche fragrances in China. And that just wasn't the case 10 years ago. So I think it's a tremendous investment and innovation by L'Oréal Travel Retail and Maison Margiela. And I think it's a great thing for the industry. I enjoyed today very much. I thought it was a spectacular occasion at this wonderful shopping emporium, Sanya International Duty-Free Shopping Complex. Big crowds gathered, executives from L'Oréal, CDFG, media like myself, and KOLs. What a grand occasion. So I enjoyed it very much. It's a big story for us, and we'll be giving it a lot of intensity and treatment as a result. I think pop-up stores have become almost a permanent part of the travel retail landscape. It's a way to give a brand emphasis over a shorter period of time. You can try out new brands, or you can bring in a new launch, seasonal promotion from an established brand. So all the brands now are looking to use pop-up as part of their promotional efforts. What's interesting, of course, is that they're really centering on Hainan. Hainan has been the epicenter of the travel retail industry over recent years, especially during the COVID crisis. So it's really important that Hainan was the beacon of light when the rest of the world was in some darkness, and the brands are putting a lot of effort into Hainan. They believe in the Hainan opportunity. Hainan is the window to China, and it's very, very important. So that's why you're seeing it. And with CDFG, of course, their shopping environments are world-class. You know, in Haikou, the new store there, it's extraordinary, world's biggest duty-free shop. But you've also got their shopping emporium here in Sanya. Again, magnificent example of duty-free retailing. So that's why the brands of the world are zeroing in on Hainan in general, but of course China Duty Free Group in particular, the world's #1 duty-free retailer. I think Hainan's offshore duty-free policy is the most enlightened duty-free shopping policy in the world by far. And we've seen it not only since the early days when it allowed Chinese domestic travelers to have the benefit of duty-free shopping, but we've seen several enhancements since. And you'll remember back in July 2020, they increased the number of categories, the number of SKUs that shoppers could buy, and this was very important. So it made Hainan a key shopping destination for mainland Chinese travelers. And that's a big contrast to the situation around the rest of the world, where duty-free does not always get a lot of government backing. Here you see central government and local government very supportive of the duty-free industry. Why? Because they know that it plays a very important part in driving the tourism economy, but also in keeping Chinese consumption within China. So it's a fantastic policy. There are only 3 examples in the world of offshore duty-free shopping. One in Japan, one in Korea, and here in Hainan. And this one, by far, is the most successful of them all. Yeah, I think it's fair to say that Hainan has dominated the Moodie Davitt Report's coverage over recent years. It has been the single hottest shopping destination on the planet in terms of the duty-free industry, and that's reflected in our coverage. We're the leading title for the international duty-free and travel retail industry, and so we go where the brands go, where the action is happening, and there's no hotter place than in Hainan. So our coverage has been very intense. I would say we are writing stories every day, every second day. Lots of features, lots of news stories about activations and launches, store openings, you name it, Hainan's got it. And so that has been really at the heart of all our activity, both in our English language website, but also across our WeChat platform that we launched as a result of all the activity that's happening in Hainan. We see a great future in Hainan, and we think 2025 is only going to make Hainan more attractive as a shopping destination. Shopping is key to the tourism sector of Hainan. So we're building our presence in Hainan. We are opening an office in Haikou, a representative office. We're very excited about that. That's happening as we speak. And of course, I live in Hong Kong, China. So I'm only an hour or so away by plane, and I expect to be here in Hainan very regularly in the future. So this will be really the epicenter of our coverage going forward. We think 2025 is going to open the market and offer real opportunity for brands and retailers. Luxury brands especially see a big opportunity after 2025. So it's hugely exciting, and we plan to be covering it each and every day. First of all, I'm very honored to have been bestowed with that title. Focused so much coverage in recent times on Hainan, and to be recognized for that in the way I was, I found that to be a very privileged position for me. With that privilege, I think also comes responsibility. Responsibility to tell the world about what's happening here in Hainan, because it's extraordinary. The growth of the duty-free industry, store openings, one after another, brands coming in, doing wonderful activations that we've seen over recent times, pop-up stores. It's a really fantastic example, I think, to the rest of the world in terms of the way authorities, retailers and brands, government are all working together for the good of the traveling consumer, the Chinese consumer. So I want to tell the world about what's going on here. I think we've been quite successful in doing that, but we're going to be doing more of it in the future. And of course, just recently, I visited 3rd Hainan Expo in Haikou, extraordinary world-class event that's bringing the eyes of the world to this beautiful island province. And we devoted a lot of coverage to that expo. I managed to attend it for the first time. It was a brilliant event that was reflected in our coverage. So we'll be doing a lot more of that in the future, if you like being an unofficial ambassador for this great island province.